All right. Good morning, good afternoon, depending on what time you were seeing this. I hope everyone is doing well. I don't know if you heard a little dink, but I've started the timer for us, keeping this to 15 minutes or less. It's definitely not going to be less. But again, just kind of seeing what we can get through today, and again, trying something different to where give you a little bit more presentation ahead of time, and then we can do a little bit more discussion or a little bit more collaboration in class. So we've gone over the prologue in much detail. You've gotten a video about it. You've got an ed puzzle about it. You're getting an ed puzzle about this. But this is the last piece of sort of the book of signs, and that we're going to talk about the signs of Jesus. But then again, we're also going to talk about the I am statements. They're in both the book of glory and in the book of signs. And then another important lesson. It's really one lesson, so we can put plural. But those are things that we want to look at today. But again, I want to keep it at a maximum of 15 minutes. All right. So let's start with the seven signs, and then sort of the big takeaways. And again, I'll highlight things in particular that I think you should take away. As you can tell, there's a lot of lessons going on here. But again, we really want to get it to like, what's the one thing that I need to know, Mr. Mac, for a quiz or a test? And that's absolutely fair, and we'll certainly do that. So the first miracle of Jesus, or excuse me, I should say the first sign of Jesus was the water into wine. All right. Jesus' mom had him perform his first miracle, so that's noteworthy. But it's also worth noting that only his mother and a select few even knew of the miracle. They only knew of it, right? Again, we know that Jesus and his followers and mother were at a party, and they run out, or they're getting ready to run out of wine, and Jesus' mother was like, hey, they're about to run out of wine. And so he says, it's not my time. And she's like, no, you got to do this. And Jesus says, yes. So he performs the miracle. His mom knows about it. A few of his followers know about it. But again, it's a very low-key miracle, right? Excuse me. A very low-key sign. Let's get into that habit, Mr. Mack. If you're going to make sure that your students are saying it only in John's Gospel, then you better be saying it too. All right, so again, a very low-key sign. All right, but it does remind us of a few things. Maybe about Moses spraying water from the rock. Maybe that you could, because again, they're stone or clay made from the earth, jars and things like that. It should also remind us, though, about Jesus as the Word, over power and time, and the ability to create. Again, he took ordinary water, all right, and he turned it into wine. Even let's say you have grapes. Grapes, it takes time. It just takes time to turn ordinary grapes into wine. All right, so Jesus is able to not only move about matter and creation, water into wine, but again, there seems to be some sort of power over time itself, where he can fast forward the process of, it's not grapes, it's already wine and things like that. So again, there's some good stuff in there, but really, what's the main thing that we should take away? It's the generosity of the kingdom of God. Again, Jesus is just going to, there's a need, Jesus is going to provide it for you. We've run out of something. Boom, here you go. It's worth knowing. All right? Or should be, it's worth having. It's worth knowing that Jesus will give to you what you need, more so in a generous giving way. All right, the second the second sign, I will get there, I promise. The second sign is the healing of the official son. All right, so again, this is the sign where an official, Roman official, likely came to Jesus and says, my son is sick and dying. I want you to save him. All right, so Jesus has a mastery over space. All right, again, Jesus cures the boy from a great distance. The man had traveled on horse, like he's rushing to get to Jesus. And Jesus just says, he's healed. And again, miles and miles away, the boy is healed. All right. It all starts with faith. That's really the key. And again, what does it mean to be a good disciple in this particular gospel? Again, just believing Jesus, having faith. All right. It starts with the faith from the official. The fact that the official had faith in the first place is what allows Jesus to say, hey, I need to do this for you. You have shown such faith in me. Thank you. Let me reward that faith. All right. The official family also obeyed Jesus' commands, faith and obedience versus faithfulness and disobedience. But really, again, it's about faith. faith in Jesus, and Jesus will give it to you. Not only will he give it to you, he'll give it to you in the most generous way. All right. The third sign, told you I'd get there eventually. All right, is the curing of the paralytic. All right. Made clear that the man had been paralytic for 38 years. So a very, very long time. That's longer than I've been alive. I know you think I'm a million. I'm not a million years old. I'm not even 38 years old, but for 38 years, all right, again, that's a long time. So you can imagine that this man isn't only broken in body, but also in his mind and in his spirit. All right, so this man who's been this way for 38 years. All right, Jesus sees him by one of the pools and says, "What can I do for you?" And he says, "Just let me bathe. Like again, you're not gonna be able to help me and all that other stuff. All right, again, help me get in the pool." All right, because he's given up hope. He doesn't think he's going to be made any better. He relies entirely on the generosity of strangers. He's given up hope, and then Jesus heals him. All right, and so what's the lesson of this? Jesus heals this man who has seemingly given up. All right, to show him, don't give up. Don't give up on yourself. Don't give up on me. No matter how dark things may seem, Jesus will always be there for you. All right. The next sign, the fourth sign, is the multiplication of loaves. We kind of know that story now. Again, this is one of the few miracles that is represented in, or in this instance, signs that is represented through all of the Gospels. So we're very familiar. This is where Jesus feeds the 5,000, and there's only 2 loaves and or 4 loaves and 2 fish, and then he ends up feeding a crowd of 5,000. So we're familiar with the ideas behind that. I want to focus more on the "I am the bread of life" thing, and that'll come a little bit later on. So no real big takeaway from that one. All right, what is this? The fifth sign? Maybe? Yeah, the fifth sign, Jesus walking on water. So Jesus has power over nature. So for those of you who are keeping track, Jesus now shown power over time, space, and the world itself. Kind of like the Word would, aka like God would. But this particular story, the particular takeaway should be is Jesus set up an opportunity for his disciples to show faith and believe. They failed, but again, Jesus is going to give them opportunity time and time again. So again, Jesus is going to give you opportunity to show belief and to show your faith. Sometimes we will stumble on those things. Peter himself stumbled in it. Again, the first pope of the church, the man that Jesus gave the glory to, the keys to the kingdom of heaven and of earth, he messed up. But Jesus gave him another chance, and then he succeeded. We may fail in our faith from time to time. We're human. It stinks. We got to make our acts of contrition. We got to try and be better tomorrow. But the great thing is we'll have opportunities to do better tomorrow as well. All right, the sixth sign. All right, the healing of the man blind from birth. This is all about sin. All right, so again, I'm going to highlight a few things. You can see this is extra long, but this is a particular. Jesus is addressing the issue of sin. All right, so the story is very clear to say that this man was born blind. All right, so his followers, Jesus' followers, raise the question. All right, did the man sin or did his parents sin that caused him to be blind? All right, again, at this time period, all right, any disability was seen as punishment for sin, should say, by God at this time. All right, so again, if you were disabled, if you had leprosy, it's because you had sinned against God. But again, this particular story with the man being born blind, was it the parents' sin or is it he who sinned? And Jesus said neither. All right, again, we'll get to the better answer, but Jesus says neither. All right, so then he heals the man. All right, and it's the Sabbath, and you get the hullabaloo from that and all that other stuff. So what's the lesson? Well, Jesus clearly states the man was born blind so that we all may learn. Well, what have we learned, though? All right, we're all born in sin. That's what Jesus is trying to get us to understand. All right, I'm a sinner. You are a sinner. Our parents are sinners. Everyone's a sinner. We're born sinners. All right, but if we choose to believe in Jesus, we can break free of sin. All right, but this particular choosing to break free of sin, it's a personal and an individual choice that everyone can take part in. All right. Again, if we had the time and we really went through the story, you could see that the parents were, trying to pawn off responsibility and saying, "Oh, we don't know what happened," and things like that. And Jesus says, we're all born sinners. All right. Again, it is what it is. but we can choose to break free of our cycle of sin. We can make the individual choice to go above and beyond, all right, what the world has sort of, or what the world has deemed us to be, or how's the world see us. No, we can rise above that. All right, and it's a personal choice. And if we choose to rise above a sinful life, all right, if we choose to believe in Jesus, we can break free. All right, that's what Jesus wants us to understand. Oh, and I should mention, again, in these parentheses, this is the verses in this particular instance. It's the whole chapter where you can find, if you want to go back and read on your own. And then finally, the seventh and last sign of the book of signs is the raising of Lazarus. Jesus has mastery over death itself, which, again, most people thought to be incurable and that you're just dead. It's not like being sick, like the official son, like you are dead. And Jesus has, or excuse me, and then Lazarus has been dead for 3 days. All right. And again, John emphasizes that, so we understand that this dude was super duper dead. All right. He wasn't like in a coma or wasn't feeling well, or like, this dude's dead. All right. And so what's the story of this? Again, kind of relating back to the prologue and all that other stuff. But again, Jesus is the bringer of life. Jesus can bring about a new life. All right. Again, the new life in heaven. In this instance, it's a little bringing back from the dead to be here on earth. But again, Jesus brings you into life, into the kingdom of God as well. All right, so again, another way to look at all these stories is you'll see a pattern, and it's really a pattern of humanity. All right, so again, Jesus is going to address the issues of we're afraid to be embarrassed. All right, they weren't prepared for the party, and again, if the wine had run out, or again, let's say you go to a party and the food runs out, it doesn't matter how amazing the party was. You just remember that the food wasn't there. So we're afraid to be embarrassed. It's a human condition. It's not a judgment on anyone or anything. We're afraid to be embarrassed. So Jesus says, don't be afraid to be embarrassed. I'll protect and care for you. All right. Next, we're afraid that something will happen to a loved one. All right. The official was afraid that someone's going to die. We're all afraid for something to happen to someone that we love. Jesus will take care of it. All right. We got to believe and trust in God. And we have to understand that, again, things happen. That is a part of the life that we live. It's not ideal. It's not great. But let's not be afraid of life happening. All right. Sometimes we might be just so afraid that we just give up. We just say, this isn't for me. All that other stuff. And that's in reference to the curing of the paralytic. Excuse me. I know that was very quick. He'd given up. He was broken in body and mind, and just said, nope, I'm done. Just help me out, man. Like, again, I can't do anything. And he'd given up. And Jesus says, don't give up. Don't give up. All right. Fourth sign is we won't have our needs met. Again, those are sort of physical needs in that instance, but again, also the spiritual need of wanting Jesus and wanting salvation and things like that. And that's the sign of the miracle, or the sign of the loaves. All right. Walking on water, that sign. We're afraid of the world around us. I mean, let's be honest. It looks like the world is out there to get us on a regular basis. It's not, I promise, but it can seem like that. So it can be very, very scary. And Jesus says again, don't be afraid. We're afraid of being disabled. All right, the man was born blind. We're afraid something that might happen to us that drastically alters our life. Don't be afraid. And lastly, we're all afraid of our own death. We're all afraid of our own mortality. All right, but Jesus shows us that we don't need to have fear. What do we do when we're afraid, though? We look out. We look for a way out. We turn towards sin, and we don't ask for help. All we need is a little faith in Jesus, and things will get better. We bold that. I'm going to go ahead and stop there. We do have the I am statements. I might share these with you and have you, I might edit out the explanations, let's say, and then I just might give you the verse in the chapter, and maybe I'll have you come up with your own explanations. I think that's what we're going to do. So let's go ahead and stop there. And then we'll talk about the other important lesson as well. But that's all that I have for you today. Again, you'll have this in the version of the Nez puzzle. You'll work on it on Thursday. On Friday, we'll discuss it. We'll discuss what we've talked about. And then you'll have your in-class assignment, and then we'll finish up with the circle. Have a great day, everyone. And hey, I was actually under the 15 minutes. Granted, it was 14 minutes and several odd seconds, but I'm going to take that as a win. Have a great day, everybody.